From Shoaib Ahamed. He's a senator at large at the City University of New York, and he joins me now live. Thank you so much for being with us on the program. So I want to kind of circle back to when this all started in the beginning of July, when those protests of those job quotas first erupted, the student-led protests. From what I've gathered from analysts talking on this subject throughout the day, they've said, yes, it was the protests that ignited this movement. However, a lot has accumulated over the years that led to the ousting of Hasina.
That is very correct. Over the years, 15 last years, we have been seeing the autocratic ruling side of the Hasina destroying the state institution. The Justice Department is no longer independent. Sheikh Hasina or his minister would say something today. The senior justice from the High Court would rule the similar tomorrow. Even if you look at the quota movement, Hasina, when the protest went out of her hand, she was saying that it will be settled by the High Court such a way that everybody will be satisfied. And the High Court came out with a verdict that would reflect her words. So what does that mean? That means that there is one person who could rule the government, the administration, the police, the army, and also the Justice Department. So in that way, putting us in a situation where her own desire will be reflected every corner of the state is definitely angered the people, and they came out of the streets.
I understand that there is going to be a judicial process as well for the more than 200, close to 300 people that were killed during the protests by security forces. You said that the whole judiciary process is kind of led by the government as well, and now they have to reform the whole structure. So just talk to us a bit about how that would all unfold.
First of all, now the biggest challenge is forming of interim government and who will be leading the government. There are a couple of theories out there. One is the army would be taking power, which didn't happen, which the mass people would resist anyway. The second form of the government can happen is the representative of anti-fascist political parties, such as whoever has been fighting this movement, not only this, but also in the previous terms. If that national consciousness interim government happens, their main task would be three. Number one is bringing the law and order of the country. Right now, there is no law and order. Everybody's in the street. The police and the law enforcement, unfortunately, has no control over any part of the country. They are saving their own life because how they have been used by the Hasina government last few days, last few months, they are saving their own life right now. So who will be protecting the mass people? Law and order is the first priority. The second priority is the economy for the government. The economy was doing very bad in Bangladesh, unfortunately, and this is the biggest challenge. If you cannot feed your own people, if they don't have job and earning and no bread in their table, only a revolution will not give them much, and it may fail. The third is to reforming all the state organizations that has been destroyed, that are corrupt, that are working not for the people, but for a special interest group for so long. How do you reform that? How do you find the right people? How do you find these honest people that would make Bangladesh a very successful country? So these three key issues needs to be addressed by this coming interim government. And formation of the head of the interim government, I think Dr. Mohammad Yunus could do a very better job if he comes forward. And this is the right time for him to come and put in his foot in this.
All right, so August 5, without a doubt, it has been a historic day for Bangladesh, one that will be in the history books, studied over and over again. What does the developments that we saw today in Bangladesh mean for the population there?
It means a lot. This is the single biggest day after the liberation war. Some of the people would say this can be even more because separation of the Pakistan, getting independence was one thing, but also how this last 15, 20 years, unfortunately, the Awami League-led government has divided the country as well, whether they would be tagging anybody who would be speaking against their corruption as anti-national Rajakars, collaborator, no matter when you were born. The war happened in 1971. If you were born in 1995, you could be tagged into this kind of bigotry terms. Now, dividing the half of the country who are not, only 30% or 25% of the country's population would be the supporter of Sheikh Hasina and Awami League. What about the rest, 70%, 75% of the people? You would treat them as a second-class citizens. So the dividation of the country should not prevail. The new Republic Bangladesh is going to get from today. This is the historic time. This kind of dividation, inclusiveness, protecting the minorities would be a challenge, and including all the religious groups, all the religious parties, all the socio-economic groups and the parties and the entities would be the biggest challenge. And if Bangladesh can be doing this in coming a few weeks, few months, and few years, Bangladesh will be very different nation and very strong Muslim entity around the world, and that is the expectation among the Bangladeshis.
All right, Shoaib Ahamed, thank you so much for being with us here on TRT World. I appreciate your time.